Hey everybody, welcome to No Breakaways, your source for all the Zwift racing tips and tricks. We're happy to have you here. I'm with my normal host, Jordan Shane. Jordan, how's it going?
Good, Rick. How are you?
An
Great.
abnormal host.
And well, yeah, okay, fair enough. An abnormal, special, super special guest host, Anna Russell.
Oh,
Anna, how's it going?
yeah, pretty good.
I was
Had to pull
telling,
you up on that, Rick.
yeah,
That was awesome.
I know it was me. So I was telling Anna before the show, before Jordan hopped on. Anna is my favorite New Zealander I've ever met, and Jordan is like eighth or ninth Canadian. So you know,
We got some pretty good. Justin Bieber, right? I could never compare.
well, I haven't met him, but you would fall another one down the list. And we have another special guest host, my daughter, who is making faces
Yay.
at the scroll. There she
My
is,
favorite
waving. All right,
is Rick.
yeah, I got to figure out how to ask her to leave without you know, appearing to be rude on screen, because I'm an excellent parent.
Throw some cookies out the door.
Yeah, right. So Anna, I saw on Instagram, Anna Zwift Racer. You can see it down there at the bottom of the screen that you had a super busy day. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I usually hate the term busy because I don't know. It's been just a super fun day, I think. We started off last night for me, commentating until about 11:30 at night for the APAC division. So they kick off the Community League racing. And then this morning, it was 5:30 a.m. for the EMEA division, women and men. And then went into DSing for some of the USA East crews before joining up with you guys. So yeah, it's been a very esport centric day for me today.
Well, that's awesome, and we're super happy that you joined us on Kindy Holiday, which I learned a new
That's
term.
it.
So yeah, Anna's kids are off. So yeah, super cool. We really appreciate it. Jordan, how about you? What you been up to, man?
Just wrapping up our time in Tucson here. We're getting our second vaccination on Thursday and headed back to Canada on Friday. So putting in lots of good miles here to finish up, and then we'll put in about miles, 1,500 miles of driving back.
Oh, you drove.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
hard down here, man. You know,
So you-
America's a big place.
so you're gonna be like the only vaccinated person in Canada.
Correct. Proud to be, and I'm 29 years old.
Yeah,
That's,
Oh,
yeah, that's great. But you got to do it. I mean, over half of Tucson is vaccinated now. They're just, giving it away basically at this point. So
yeah, same,
Yeah.
same here. It's awesome.
Great.
I'm happy to have my first shot
Must
done.
say.
Yeah. It's a very we have a more international cast. 3 countries represented today. That's cool. Normally we
yeah. I
had,
mean, New Zealand's been pretty open for quite a while now. I think we have like 2 or 3 COVID cases in the country in isolation at the moment, and yeah, I'm actually pregnant, so I don't get my vaccination until after the baby has come out. So that will be a little ways away for me, but I think the risk here is pretty low. We're a very isolated island here, so
I was gonna
not too
say
much of a drama.
we have 2 or 3 cases in my neighborhood. So, it's just how we do it here, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. Yeah, for me, we're pretty open too. I was at my son's soccer tournament. I got a sunburn in my head, so
Oh,
I know first sunburn of the year. Sunburn up here too. That's no good. You'll
and how
learn.
did they go?
They went great. My son, he plays very competitive soccer. He's only 8, but like he loves it. So he chose to play for 2 teams. He played 6 games. After the first day, he's like, "Dad, can we find a field and practice?" And I'm like, "Bro, I've been out here for 6 hours today. Like, we got to cook dinner. We got to do stuff." So
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. It's nice when your kids find something they like. It's super cool. So and they're speaking of my son coming in the room. I don't know if you can hear him. Yeah, well, let's hop right into. And I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Anna correctly. I asked her for an introduction. So she's a DS for the Women's Premier League, like she said, Sarah Sapro's Closet. After she stepped down from Premier League racing due to being pregnant, she commentates, produces esports events, like we heard, around the world, and she's a geek on all things tactics and avatar fashion, which we may have to talk about a little bit later. because I know you were talking about that. And you two actually fought each other in a 6v6 race as opposing
Two
DSs.
DSs. Yeah, that was
So,
fun.
yeah.
Right.
And I remember, I think it was, I can't remember. Were you talking about the sock choice or was that somebody else?
Wasn't me.
It must have been the
It was
commentator.
probably me. It
There,
sounds like me.
there was a lot of, it was more commentary on the rider's fashion than I had ever thought about.
Welcome to my commentary. It's the cool thing though, right, with the avatars is they can look a bit bland. There's no like facial expressions, right, to show that they're really struggling. So you got to pick up on something, and people are choosing some pretty wild outfit choices. And it's getting to the point people are trolling me now, which is fantastic. Just choosing the worst things you could think of to wear, visors with no socks, and yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
Oh, so you're a team no socks. Or no, you're a team high socks?
No, you wear high socks when you're cycling. I'm a triathlete, so if you're doing the duathlon league, I'm happy with no socks. But no, the community league, prem racing. Well, I know prem racing, you have to have socks, right?
Oh,
You see the rule.
yeah. But, oh man, I see. Normally when Jackie's here, we got team no socks and we overruled Jordan. But now I'm in the minority. So let's just move on.
No. Okay.
Let's move on. I'm feeling awkward about this now. And of course, Jordan, professional bike racer, Team Elevate Webplex, giant Zwift nerd. So awesome cast today. I apologize on the intros. I got too excited for Anna talking about being in the abnormal host, I think.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. Let's talk about Premier League and Zwift Racing League. I know I can see Jordan. He's just biding his time to talk about this. This was a source of frustration last week. So Jordan, why don't you launch right into some stuff on what happened last week in the Premier League?
Okay. Well, let's start with the good stuff first. I watched last week. It was a sprinters course, so I wasn't going to be on the roster for that with my massive 600-watt kick. But I watched it, and I was actually in the team car sort of listening to the finesse guys on Discord. And it was one of the most exciting races. Actually, I'll just say it was the most exciting Zwift race I've ever watched, because whatever the combination of the new physics, the course being, I would say, just diverse in its challenges, and just breakaways throughout. It was super exciting. My teammate almost won in the first breakaway that we've seen. We talked about the results last week, but it was great racing, and I was ready to give Zwift a big pat on the back for that, because I felt like it stepped up a notch. But then we got the news that race never actually happened. I watched it. I thought it happened.
And so tell me, I don't know exactly what happened. Some sort of crash?
Yeah, and it happened the previous week as well in the time trial. Apparently, riders, and it didn't happen to me, they would cross the finishing line and the app, the Zwift, would crash. And I guess it happened on a large scale the first week, but since it was a team time trial, I think the results were fairly explicit. But it happened again, fool me once. Sort of deal on that. And it happened again in the bunch sprint, I think, of just the male race. I'm not entirely sure, but it happened. And the response to that was just to act like the entire race never happened. The results voided on both the male and the female side. And yeah, no points awarded, no victory. Jackie's victory, I guess, just never happened. So we'll have to take back all our praise. I'm sure she'll win again soon, so we can get back on that. But yeah, let's talk about that, because it's pretty absurd. I feel like, number one, it's a lack of effort and laziness on Zwift's part, both before and after that race. They should have fixed the problem. This is supposed to be a professional sporting event. They had a whole week to do it. I don't understand the details, but they do. They have millions of dollars to figure that out. And they did not. They just sort of let it ride. And the worst happened. And then afterwards, instead of looking at the video, which there was plenty of, instead of looking at Zwift power and actually, trying to create results out of this, they chose not to and just acted like it did not happen.
So can we, I'm sorry, and I know you have a lot of stuff to say. And maybe to both of you guys, I mean, the results are in Zwift Power, or they were. I mean, I looked them up. Like, what's the problem?
I don't know if Anna has a feeling on that, but I have no idea why those don't count, because they matched what I saw and they matched what everybody said. Like, I don't know. The sprints at least were very clear. They put the points up. They put on the points on the broadcast too. They said, you know, Canyon won, blah, 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 Heino won, Jackie won. I don't understand. So maybe conservative, in their, in their response to that, they just didn't want to make a mistake. But I feel like they could have looked back and reviewed those results and verified them quite easily. That's not for me to decide. But on a larger level, this is supposed to be a professional sports league. Have you ever watched a sporting event that has finished, an NBA game, for example? You've watched the Lakers win and then decided, oh, someone lost the score sheet, actually. We don't know how many assists LeBron got. So the game doesn't happen. It didn't happen. There's no points awarded. Pretty terrible. And especially since these riders, we're not getting paid to do it. We're putting in a ton of effort. They ask more and more of us every time in terms of weigh-ins, in terms of verification, in terms of getting the rider cams right. And we're making money for Zwift in terms of promoting the sport to tens of thousands of people every week. And they don't do us a solid in terms of rewarding those efforts. And then they have the audacity to put the race finish that never happened in an Instagram ad for Zwift Racing. So that was off-putting, and there was no response from Zwift other than we understand you're disappointed, but this is the way it went. And I just feel like, we talk about the Olympics for Zwift, we talk about the World Championships, we talk about this growing into a real sporting event, and there's never been a more fertile time for that to happen. But this is not a good look. This can't happen in the same sphere as those events. And so I guess the bottom line for me is get it together. Really, like this has to be the only time this happens, and really it should never have happened.
So Anna, what do you think? I mean, you're on a big team. You had a literal rider win a race. Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm probably not as passionately opinionated on it as Jordan, I would say. I think, I do a bit of work on the more broadcasting and behind the scenes stuff. There's a lot of issues that have happened since Zwift did the data update or the game update, which I think was like the night before that first team time trial. And that had a lot of issues across Prem first, but then filtered down through the community leagues as well. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the sort of coding and the gaming all behind the scenes, but I know that potentially timing of that update was very, very bad because it seems to have created issues that have now carried on through to race 2. I haven't so far seen anything that's gone wrong in race 3 with regard to the crashing issues, but we've had, last week, Sarah Pros Closet, we took the win. So obviously totally gutted that didn't count. And also the week before, 4 of the 6 riders crashed on the finish line. But, as Jordan said, we're able to sort of get those results. I agree with what Jordan's saying about the professionalism of how this is looking. So I think what seems to be happening from an outsider view looking in is Zwift is putting a ton of effort into what it looks from the outside, so the broadcast quality of the Prem racing, at the expense sometimes of glitches and issues happening for the actual races in the ride. I think if you look at what's sort of happening to Zwift internally, they've got the ex-CFO of Google now on the board at Zwift. And you've got to be wondering if they're starting to get good images out there and things like that for maybe a potential IPO coming up. I have no idea. I'm just totally speculating. I think, unfortunately, is the Prem division that isn't a Tour de France. It doesn't have, quote unquote, professional riders in there. Looks like sometimes they're used as guinea pigs, which is unfortunate. It's sort of like, let's see how far we can push this broadcast quality or how far we can push certain things before we've pushed it too far. Again, outsider looking in, who knows if that's actually the case, but to me it sort of looks like that, which is unfortunate. I don't know if we can really compare it to sort of in real life, basketball games and things like that, because they've got their own sort of issues. We've seen strikes and a whole bunch of things. I know when I lived in Canada for a bit, there was no NHL because there were player strikes due to pay. So each sport has their own sort of issues. I think virtually what's happening at the moment just looks like things are getting pushed a little too far beyond capacity before we start hitting this next round of what I would say is, I don't know, maybe the world champs again. If they're going to be running that later in the year, they're just trying to get everything right before those big time events, I guess. So unfortunate for the Prem riders that they're sort of, I don't think, being treated potentially like the professionals that they want to be. I mean, I know for us, we've got sponsors, like we may not be paid, but we do have sponsors who are on board that we want to put across the best showing for. And when you have a rider coming across first with Saris printed all over their virtual tops, then you want them to have that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would add that as the wannabe professional riders in the Premier League, we put up with this guinea pig stuff for the potential of exposure on a larger level. I think the hope is that this would grow and be a consumable event, and it already is to an extent, but it would grow and the product would be good enough and reliable enough that we could all have sponsors like Saris and better, even more money into this and make this what it could be. And this is obviously a huge hindrance to that. So it is. Charlie from Zwift did get one thing right. It is disappointing in his.
Well, I think what's frustrating, and I mean, obviously I'm like a B cat rider, whatever, but it was last season or the season before, Zwift rolled out some updates Monday night, and it screwed up the ZRL. It rolled it, and and we also saw times where, there were racers who finished 4 seconds ahead of the group, but in reality they were in 30th place. And even they would comment and like, I don't know why it said I won this race. I showed me in 30th, but they won, I mean, one of our guys got a victory, got a whole bunch of points, and it didn't affect us really. We're not Premier League riders. We don't have money on the line. We don't have anything, we're just doing it for fun, but it's still, everybody at every level is putting out so much effort. Like, you have to time your releases better. You just, I don't care how many times you test it, until you have 100,000 people doing it, like, just release it on Wednesday,
Yeah.
I mean,
Jordan, what are your thoughts on, Premier League racing, when I was racing Prem, it used to be maybe sort of a couple of stage races or the odd sort of more the races that aligned with, say, the Tour of Watopia or the Tour of Zwift, or where they'd sort of intro it with a Prem race on that course and then they'd unleash it to the community for group rides and stuff. Now they've sort of tied in with the Community League and having that Prem race, which often has different power-ups, so it's kind of a different dynamic anyway. What are your thoughts? Do you prefer it being a weekly series race, like a league, or do you kind of like the ones before where it was sort of every few weeks you had sort of a key race?
Yeah, we've talked about that on this show, the need for a structural revision, because I had that in my notes too. Like, they're trotting us out, Premier League racers, up to 40 races a year on this format, which is like, as a professional bike racer, that's a lot, considering how intense these are and how, demanding in terms of your time. And I just don't think it helps the product. I think you see that every season you look at the YouTube views, first event is high and it just goes down because it's just repetition. These are short races. The same thing always happens in the male. And so, yeah, we talked about that. And I wasn't in the Premier League when it was like how you were mentioning with the stage races and stuff. So we floated that out there. Like, there should be like a spring classics of the Premier League. There should be like explicit events, that we build up to and that we can have everything right for in terms of technology, and like actually, make this exciting and have some build to it. Because right now we race almost every month of the year and it's predictable and it's very tiring. I don't know how some of the riders do it, to be honest. I don't race them all, but yeah, the week on week thing, I don't think it needs to be tied in with the ZRL like this. I think it's a convenience thing. We're set into it. And I don't think Rick and I both agree that this is not the best.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not sure it's the best fit, to be honest, tying in the Premier League with the Community League. I mean, you've got 12,000 people out there in the community racing. I don't think you need to double up like that. I mean, I know I was commentating EMEA this morning, which was literally at the same time as Prem. So you had Zwift Community Live and Zwift both live streaming races. So people are now able to split their attention over what they'd like to watch. Whereas I think, yeah, where you sort of there's a lot of effort that goes into the promotion of, say, the Tour of Watopia. I loved it when you kicked that off. You kicked off the week with a prem race, so it was super exciting, and you could go out and give it a try. So, I mean, yeah, I'm all for that kind of a prem racing, not so much aligned and linked up, and it just means you're not racing week on week. It's stressful Prem League week on week racing.
You could actually train for an event, say, rather than
yeah.
race. Yeah, where I think we're very much squared up on that. So,
I mean, I would like to see the pros have a chance to be pros. And that's no offense to you, Jordan. You're like one of the few actual professionals. But this, and it's the same we've talked about with ZRL previously too. Like, this needs to be an event. Like, if most people probably race on average once or twice a week, most normal people, if they're racers. If you're in ZRL, that's your race. Like, and it gets hard to keep going and going and going. And I can't imagine at a Prem League level trying to maintain that sharpness. You just can't do it. I mean, we all know that, right? So, like, why not do one Premier League season, have it be a big deal? Because, like, I watched every single Premier League race season 1. It was amazing. And I watched some of them in season 2 because I had teammates in it, right? But now, and I'm super busy. I don't get a chance to watch it. I wouldn't be able to watch it. But, like, now I'm like, I'll just watch it later, maybe. Like, it's not that big of a draw unless it's a real thing. Like, if they did a 3-day, like we were talking about Amstel Gold earlier, Anna, like if they did like a 3-day thing or like a 1-day classic, like, hey, this is a big deal. And then maybe you actually start drawing some more of the pros to compete against the community people. Maybe you have some sort of small series to qualify for your country's world champ spot. And so that that like in Canada, like I know Monali Keller, like in Canada, they just picked him, right? But somebody like Monali is an amazing racer. She had the potential to qualify. Like, give her a chance on the platform, right?
Yeah. Maybe. I think that could be a really cool way to go. You have your country qualifiers and it goes into like a regional kind of competition, and then it becomes that. I like the idea of an esport world champs. I really like that idea. But what I'd want to see in the esport world champs is a lot more actual esport races, because I kind of sit in the camp of IRL cycling and esport cycling are very different. And you want to see the personalities in esport coming up, and they're the ones you're sort of gunning for in the world champs, So that would be epic. Like, that would be a really, really cool format to have that coming through for a world champs later in the year.
I mean, I also think you could do it if you're an IRL bike racer like Ashley Moolman-Pasio, Sarah Gigante, right? These are amazing IRL racers, and then they're amazing at Zwift too. But like, let them qualify, and of course they would, because they're killers. But like, like it also brings like it makes that crossover, because I think we need the Zwift world. I think we need obviously we need the IRL world, but we need the crossover too. The Venn diagram needs to intersect in the middle.
And I think that qualifiers, anything like that, it lends itself to smaller fields. I think that's more exciting racing too. These big fields suck. Like, let's be honest. They're just it's hard to watch. And maybe we could actually have a race that was longer than 45 minutes, because we would actually build some tension and have a climax to the event, instead of just like, I would feel for Dave Toll, because he'd have to maintain the level of enthusiasm for so long. It would be something. And anyway, we could talk a long time about those changes, and hopefully it's still evolving. Hopefully this is one step backward, 2 step forward sort of deal.
Well, that's an important thing to remember too. We're at step 1 of this. You know what I mean? Like, this is all this esports stuff is brand new. And I think the most important thing in my mind is keeping your eye on the fact that this is not in real life racing. Don't try to make it in real life racing. Do crazy stuff. Like, I mean, we've set up the 6v6s. The number one thing that's awesome about Zwift for the vast majority of people, and I would bet professional cyclists too, and Jordan, for me to do a 1-hour ride, it takes me about 1 hour and 7 minutes. If I want to go do a race, And 1 hour race, it takes me 1 hour 7 minutes. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. I just come and get on my bike. You know, I mean, like, that's a big deal. And you can format things because of that. Like, it makes it easy for everybody.
And as a professional too, having those marquee events would attract me more. Like I kind of do Zwift because I like it. It does nothing for my cycling career. World Champs did. That was great. But if I won today's Premier League, guess how many of my sponsors would know? Zero. It's true because what is it? It's Premier League Season 3, Race 3 on April 20th. But if I won the Flesh Wallone Zwift event and there was only 6 of them a year, that would be a big deal. So we got to create some marquee with that. And the current format doesn't lend itself to that. But yeah.
All right. So normally our riders of the week, and we're going to have some other riders of the week too, but normally is our riders of the week community racers. This is a community focused show. We like talking about the Premier League because we like doing that. But we wanted to kind of just give a shout out to all the Premier League racers from last week. Congratulations on all your efforts. You know, there were some huge efforts in there. You know, I know like Jordan's teammate, Matt Usborne. Is that how you say it, Jordan?
A good question. I say Usborne.
All right, I'm saying Usborne because I'm from America. As like I was telling Anna earlier, Americans do whatever we want. You know, that huge effort there, almost taking that win. Jackie, we heap praise on her week after week. We're gonna keep doing it.
Awesome.
Just
keep doing that.
And everybody, Hino, Canyon, Saris, Finesse, everybody racing. Shout out to you all. We appreciate it. You know, we love that you guys are out there. You know, us community people. It's fun to watch your races. I always do go back and watch them, like if I can't watch them in real life. So, you know, just thank you guys all. We really appreciate it.
You are the riders of the week.
You're the riders of the week. No breakaways, riders of the week. So we do appreciate the effort.
I do actually. I will give a general. So not all riders, but a general shout out as well. So for me, that would be a big shout out as well. I saw earlier that EMEA Mixed Division B had 2 women, 1-2. In front of a field of men. So that was really, really impressive. Also on APAC last night, I think there were 3 women in the top 15. So I'm loving the fact that there are some really strong women coming out and just deciding to kick it up with the men and throw a cat amongst the pigeons. I like seeing that.
I was so glad when they did the mixed categories. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It gives teams more flexibility. And if you want to come race, like whatever.
That's a big step. Yeah, we should have talked about that earlier. The mixed categories is great.
Next, what we got to see, I want to see a 1v1 mixed category race, Jackie versus Jordan.
Ooh, nice.
No, forget about it. It better go right up. It better go right up Ben's top, or I'm not doing it.
There we go. We got another guest host. I love it.
You want to say hi? Okay. Here we go.
All right, Anna, I know, and I didn't know where to put this in. You said you want to talk about burrito and steamroller.
Yes. So I did want to touch on the steamroller power-up that was used last week because I know it's been a little bit contentious, but only contentious for those who didn't get it, which would be myself included. So this was quite different. Jordan, I don't know if you saw, we rode the same course as the Prem Division last week, but we had the steamroller power-up in community, which you guys did not have. And it was phenomenal. Like, it was amazing. It was a power-up that lasts 30 seconds and basically changed around the whole race. So you had up a little climb in dirt. If you got that steamroller, you basically shot off the front like you were on a disc wheel on flat tarmac. And then also on the next part, I don't know if you saw, Rick, in the racing you saw, but you can actually bridge. I bridged a pack that was 15 seconds ahead just by dropping a steamroller. So the contentious part of it is that slightly too powerful. I would almost say yes. 30 seconds is almost
so powerful, it's breaking your connection.
I know. Somebody dropped the steamroller on Anna here.
So what I would have said last season when I saw Invis seconds up too much, I think.
So we only got a little bit of what you said. I'm pretty sure the synopsis, Anna, is that 30 seconds is too much. Is that right?
Yeah, I think
Oh.
30 seconds was a bit too long, bit too much of a game changer.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yes.
Am I gone?
You're back. We can hear you. So, I've been thinking a lot about this after
Okay.
you said that. We want this to be different than in real life, and it for sure is. Like, does it make sense to have power-ups that are such big game changers? Like, does it make it too much of a roll of the dice? It is a really interesting thing to think about, because on one hand, I'm like, when I don't get a steamroller, I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. The Zwift, you're so stupid. And then I got the steamroller, and I was like, this is about right.
Yeah.
Like,
Then if everybody has one, if it's the only thing, does it matter at all? Because you're all going to use them at the same time,
yeah.
right? It's kind of like the arrow in the sprint, right? It's like everyone's got one.
Well, and
I don't know.
I made the channel and I called it No Breakaways because of course there are no breakaways in Swift, and it was kind of like a joke, like, but everybody wants to be able to make a breakaway, myself included. And the steamroller, if like 3 people from your team got a steamroller on the last lap, in theory you could have tried a breakaway, Like, is that what we want? Is that how we want to accomplish it? Like,
I think, yeah, the part for me where what I saw happen where I went, I think this is too powerful because I love power ups. I love the game part of Zwift.
Yeah.
That's just epic. So I'm a power up fan. But the part where I was like, okay, this is too strong is that I saw a team try and do a tactic that I liked. The teammate dropped the steamroller. They jumped on to their teammate's wheel to get pulled up. They couldn't even hold the wheel. So they were just dropping teammates left, right, and center as well. So I think that showed if you can't even hold.
yeah.
I could see it. I could see it working and being exciting in the way that Rick is wanting it. If everybody just got one at the beginning of the race and you just got one to use,
That'd be cool.
that way it would be fair. You just be, when do I drop this bomb, basically? Because otherwise, I could just be the unlucky sod that never got one in the race. And I coached some clients that do the community, and one guy said, like, I just never. What did I ever do to deserve this? So, yeah, but let me guess, the breakaway burrito is the opposite problem. It's freaking useless.
I like the burrito.
Yeah, because
I love the burrito since it's had the change. So when it was first launched, it was useless because it just stopped the draft directly behind you. Now it stops the draft in a radius behind you. So it's pretty epic. You can have some cool team tactics, but what I did see today wasn't as powerful as I thought. So I think they need to tweak it. I'm getting really finicky here on the details, but just tweak it a little bit so that it kind of almost like blows everyone apart behind you and they all are kind of split. I don't know, with the new draft dynamics and that power up, just didn't have quite the same feel. Like you could kind of push through pretty easily.
All right, I'm going to propose a sweeping Zwift change right here. I just came up with it. Jordan gave me the idea, and then Anna added on to it with what she just said. Start of the race, like today, you got 3 power-ups, right? No, you got 5 power-ups. 5 power-ups. Start of the race, before you get into the pens, you pick your 5 power-ups. They have the 3 available. You can pick.
Ooh.
You could have picked 5 arrows if you wanted. You could pick 2 feathers, 5, 3, whatever. And you can pick them.
Oh, that's good.
An arsenal of power-ups.
Exactly.
I like that.
Because then, like on the last course, maybe you would have picked 3 steamrollers, or maybe like you only get 2 power-ups. You wouldn't have to give them 5. 5 is a lot. But like today, like then you can designate your sprinters and they can sprint every time with that power-up. Or you could designate your climbers and they're like, I got 5 arrows to burn up this thing. This is going to be great, but it's going to be crazy up that hill because you don't know what other people have,
Yeah.
And you don't have to be like,
It would probably fix a problem if you got a dropout and you were gapped. You could just use all 5 arrows and get back.
That would be so cool. But like, okay, like let's say check this out. All right.
Okay.
You take, everybody on your team takes 5 arrows, right? Relatively flat course. You decide your entire team is going to make a breakaway halfway through. Everybody's going to blast their 5 arrows off, and then you're going to see if you can TT to the end.
Be gone.
That's what I mean. Like, that's
great gaming. That would be gaming, right? That would be really good, like video gameplay, I think.
All right. So I'm very confident Eric Min watches this show at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe he's on now. Eric, if you're on now, this is the change that I want to try. The new FutureWorks thing. Pick your own stuff. Forget about boost mode. Just push it to the side. You can call this one outside the draft power up mode.
Inside the draft.
I like it.
I like it.
That would be so cool. That would, because that's like when you build in-game characters in other video games. Like you
choose
build
the arsenal.
Right. I mean, that's, oh man, that's
we're not going to do better than that, Rick. Well, okay, see you later, Anna. That was a good show. I think that
There we go. That's a great idea. I like that.
We're retiring outside the draft as of right now. The last host we had on, Anna, just dropped the mic.
Oh, and we came up with the game-winning idea.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, we're hitting big topics this week. It's something I know is near and dear to all of our hearts for different reasons. Weigh-ins. Yeah, so I know there's been some changes to how we do weigh-ins this season, something about 2 hours. In biking in general, and a lot of these sports, I mean, I was a runner before this, so it's the same sort of thing. There's a lot of health concerns around weight, around getting your weight down, around keeping your weight down, and all that stuff. So I wanted to talk a little bit about weigh-ins, what we think here, we know there are problems, and Anna, specifically hoping you were going to talk about that, and then maybe present some alternatives too, because I know you had ideas on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a sensitive topic, I guess. And I worked a little bit with Alice Lethbridge on writing the open letter to Zwift on the weigh-in protocols and just sort of the bad behaviors that was instigating. I don't know about the men's field. I'm sure Jordan can talk to that, but definitely in the women's field. And I know personally, before I got on Zwift and started prem racing, I maybe weighed myself twice a year, and having to go to suddenly weighing yourself every week is quite confronting, even if you don't have sort of body image issues. And it's quite a interesting problem that we have with it, because one, you need to make sure people's weights are accurate in Zwift, because that's a huge part of the game. And myself being a lighter rider, being lighter on hill climbs is a huge asset. That's just part of cycling, I guess. I don't ride in real life, but I assume power to weight ratio is a huge part of cycling. I think some of the biggest issues came in sort of 2 parts, but sort of stemmed from the same area, which was having weight so visible. So one was when we started doing weigh-ins for Prem League, it was sort of asked or encouraged that we posted on a Facebook page. I think it was like Zwift Transparency. And that's quite scary for a lot of people. But then it was insinuated if you didn't do it, that you were somehow weight doping and not putting in the right weight. So you're kind of left in a tricky situation where you don't want to put videos of yourself on your scale at home onto a Facebook page. It just seems weird. But then if you don't, what does that insinuate? That you don't want to share it with anyone. So that was the first part, which I think now has been shut down, which is really good. The other part was the weight comparison. So if you're racing in real life, you can look around and sort of see people who look like they've got down to a race weight or are looking pretty skinny, but you're not sitting there looking at the end. I doubt, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, that when they post results from an in real life race, they're not sitting there also ranking and putting everyone's weight at the end. So that was the other part, is you go through results and you see, oh, well, that person weighs 5 kg less than me and they did X% better. So actually, maybe I should drop 5 kg. So the comparative portion as well, I think, was quite dangerous. But it looks as though, to Zwift's credit, that those 2 parts, the posting of live videos and the weights on Zwift Power, has been taken away. So hopefully we'll start to see some better practices from within teams. And I do kind of push responsibility to the team managers. They know their team really well. They know if people are unhealthy, and just to start promoting health in the sport as opposed to results all the time.
That's yeah, and I applaud you really because the transparency Facebook thing was weird. I did it once I sort of entered into Zwift racing in the deep end, the higher levels in the fall, and I felt like I had to do that once. You know, it was the pressure like you talked about. But it is bizarre and it is not unhealthy. And I just think in general, posting videos of yourself in your underwear basically on the internet is just yeah, we don't need that. I will say
Not great.
that the weight comparison, and this is a sticking point for me, where I think more and different needs to be done. The weight comparison does exist in real life. I've actually had, you know, I'll admit it, I've had problems with my eating over the years. I'm fine now, but it took a lot of work to get there. But I wrestled in high school, so I know the weight cut like to the extreme. And in all of these sports, especially on the male side, I've never been in the female peloton, obviously. The weight comparison, it's like, how much do you weigh? How much? And you can see everybody's
Oh, okay.
Strava now. You can see it on, oh, you did 400 watts for 15 minutes. Well, how much do you weigh? Oh, that's 6.6. Wow. But what if you got down to 6? It totally exists and it doesn't go away just because I don't have a number printed on my result that says I'm 61 kilograms. It's perhaps even more insidious because it's like it's like, how do I look? It's like, you know, a dysmorphic. And so I think Zwift needs to meet reality on that and offer more support to the athletes at all levels on how to deal with that, because there's no escaping it really. I don't think it needs to be broadcast in the results. Like, I don't think we need that really. But I don't think it goes away. And so I think we can support the athletes better on that. And in terms of the weigh-in, the 2-hour thing solves nothing for me. I think it's crap. I think the day before thing was maybe more crap because it was just a weight cut. Like, you know, you'd watch what you ate, you watch what you drink, of course, right? You want to be as good as you can. And I'm sure people were sweating down many pounds to get, you know, to a point where they were happy with their weight. But the 2-hour before, you just restrict what you eat to a tighter window. And I think it's actually dangerous because if someone decides maybe in the community league, they don't have experience with physiology, they decide I need to be light in that 2-hour window, and they really sweat down for it and then race, you could die. Because at least a day before you rehydrate and then you perform. 2 hours, you could be, and I've seen that in wrestling because they do the weigh in the day of. It can get pretty nasty. And so I think that, and I thought about this a lot because I knew Anna was coming on and talking about it. I think a solution would be to have a weigh in once per season.
I had the same idea.
Yeah, and because I think as high level athletes, our weights don't vary that much. We train hard, we eat healthy because that's the level we're at. It might be a kilo or two up and down, but I would do it once. And then if you want to sweat down and get in the bathtub and get in the sauna, and you can do it once, and it's not great, but you do it once, and that's your number.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Jordan. I had the same thoughts on that, just the beginning of season weigh-in. And I actually went in and did some analysis on the Prem women's field from last season and took the top 40 riders.
You broke up again, Anna.
Across
Every time.
races and how. Oh, breaking up. Sorry.
No, we didn't. You're back.
Every
now.
time I talk.
I know.
There we go.
Only when I'm speaking.
Yeah, exactly. So I did the analysis and had a look at the 40 top riders in the Prem division, what their weight fluctuated across the 6 races last season. And it was about 2 kg was the average, or 1 to 2 kg was the average. 2 riders out of the 40 fluctuated by 4 kg. There was only 2 riders. So I think that makes sense. You know, one weigh-in at the start. You're right, Jordan. I don't believe at this top level, it may be different. And if you're in the D category and you're coming into some fitness and, you know, you start your journey at 120 kg and you use Zwift to get fit, that's very different to someone who's racing in a Prem division who really the variation is 1 to 2 kg. And I don't think that fundamentally impacts the game.
Yeah, there's too many stories about Bradley Wiggins losing 11 kilograms all of a sudden. That doesn't really happen in professional sports that often. And if you know that's the weigh-in date, that's the weigh-in date. I agree. And I guess one more note I had is there's a lot of weight placed on weight. Um, in terms of transparency for Zwift. And I think at the top level, I think at the community level, there's a lot of that's an easy way to cheat. Like, it's like day one, it's like, oh, what if I put my weight to 30 kilos? Every moron, including myself, has had that thought of like, what if I could go 40K an hour up the Alp? But at the top level, I believe that weight is really a red herring in terms of transparency. I think if you're going to cheat, there's ways to cheat, and we don't talk about that a lot on this show. But technologically, there's a way to increase your power. I would estimate that a large percentage, way larger than we'd like to think, in the Premier League are doing things like that. And we know that to be true because in every sport, people cheat. In cycling, people cheat. And so I think,
What?
yeah, exactly. They take a survey of people totally anonymous. Would you cheat to win a world championship if no one would find out? Like 90% of people say yes. It's crazy, but that's how we are. And so I think that we stress about, oh, what if someone's putting their weight too low? What if they're sweating down and getting that? If you're gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat with the power, and then that happens all the time. And it's going to come. We're going to have some hard times with Zwift with that side of it. But I think we should move away from, it is a red herring. Weight doesn't matter that much. As Anna said, it's 2 kilos. That's at maximum, 5%? It's not a lot.
Yeah.
I
mean, the good part for our team, sorry, Rick, good part for our team is we've got Jackie who, she weighs, I think like 20 kg more than one of our climbers. And she's absolutely dominating on climbs and sprints everywhere. And I think that's been really great for our team that we sort of go with the mantra now of health, then results. So you always need to be looking after yourself first and foremost. I've seen a lot of people dropping out of Premier League with just the stress of the weight dropping and the stress of all the weigh-ins and all of that. So I think pushing some responsibility. Zwift is doing all right with some of the podcasts and things they've put out and some of the articles. But I think responsibility has to go to the team managers too, to really look after the health and well-being of their team.
Mm-hmm. Not everybody's as fortunate to have good team managers like you have at your team, but we could encourage that. Manager is a role that's necessary at this level, and it means more than yelling on Discord. I think it does. It does. I think you have a responsibility to your athletes, and that exists in the pro level on good teams in real life. So yeah, I think, there's solutions there, right? We don't need to blunder around this for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent discussion. Yeah. It's really interesting to contrast with how important, weight is a fundamental part of how fast you go in Zwift, right? There are two components, half of it's weight. So yeah, obviously it gets a focus. And I know I use Zwift to get in shape. I lost 10 kgs from March of last year to October last year. So, and I weighed myself every Friday morning.
Congratulations. Good job.
Yeah, I know. It was cool.
Did you really, Rick? Did you just put it in the game?
Well, and I don't know all the kg now since I'm American. When I was running a lot, this is before kids, I weighed 140 pounds. Then when I stopped running so much and I got up to 185 pounds, and now I'm back down to like 168, but I got down to like 160. And then I ate a bunch of stuff over Christmas, and it was great, and I don't regret it for 1 second. So
you look great.
There we go.
I know. Well, that's what I keep telling my wife, but I keep telling her I'm a trophy husband. But
scale doesn't measure. Right?
You're not supposed to laugh so much at that, Anna. All right. Okay, we only have 10 minutes left.
Sorry.
Anna, are you okay? Do you want to talk about the solo breakaways? Anna?
What else is on the agenda? I can talk about that for a bit, yeah?
Yeah, let's do that, because it's fun. It's like a tie-in to some other guy who's on this show.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to show the video. I can kind of chat to it. It was really around, I started to do some videos on cool tactics that I saw on Zwift, and one of them featured Jordan sitting right there. But it's kind of apt that your channel's called No Breakaways, because I wanted to see if breaking away in Zwift is actually possible, and I found two really good instances where it was possible. I don't think your one, Jordan, went to the finish line, but you still broke away, and you did it around a hairpin corner. So that was one of the key things I said, which was you can break away. You just have to time it right in the right part of the course. I don't know if people know, but I mean, there's no braking in Zwift, but they do have some braking dynamics around certain hairpins. So there's one in Richmond, there's one in London, but it just has to be a hard hairpin. The pack slows down. And if you attack out of that, you can gain like 4 seconds straight when you come out of that corner. So that's kind of a little tip if you're on those courses that you can break away. The other one I'm finding, I'm not sure this would happen in Prems, but definitely in community, is if you're later on in the season, if you're in a team that isn't in the top 3 or 4, but you're actually personally quite a good rider, you can break away for sure, because no one's watching your particular jersey. And so you can take everyone by surprise. And I saw Hashimoto, I think, get away from some of the best riders I saw in APAC just because no one knew who they were and they weren't watching his jersey. So you can actually break away occasionally. It doesn't happen often, but there are times that you can.
Yeah, and so Anna's YouTube channel is Anna Russell. Go check it out. Yeah, she makes awesome videos, super informative. I loved the one on the fakie sprint that you did. It was so was so good. Go check out Anna's YouTube. Don't go quite yet. Watch the rest of this, but then go to Anna's YouTube.
Come back again.
And then come back, watch all my videos, watch all Anna's videos, and then watch them all multiple other times, please. But no, seriously.
Exactly. And then you'll be great at Zwift racing.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's super cool. I loved the solo breakaway. It was cool. You had Jordan in the one.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So good tie in there. The last thing, we want to do one big thing, something I thought would be interesting to talk about, because we have kind of different perspectives on this a little bit, is talking about joining a team. Actually, I want to write an article about this for Zwift Insider, but I keep not doing it because I don't know, I'm just not. Jordan fairly recently, he's on our in real life pro team, but I want to talk about Zwift teams. And maybe you can contrast some of that, but fairly recently joined Finesse, about a year ago, 8 months ago?
Less than, in the fall. I guess in the late summer. Okay. Yeah, I had some success in the echelon sort of pro Zwift races where all the pro riders came on Zwift and we competed against some of the top Zwift teams. It was really cool. I wish that kind of fizzled out logistically, but it was really cool to see that come together. But after that, I was kind of left with my real life teammates did not want to do any more Zwifting because they did not fare as well or enjoy it as much. And so I was like, how do I get anywhere in this? And I ended up just looking at the race videos, and Finesse had been up there in these races and got in contact and said, I'd love to learn from you guys. Maybe we can get to the Premier League. Because at that point, there was a brick wall. I did not understand how to get to the Premier League. ZRL did not exist yet. So it was kind of a weird closed system. And so, I got on Finesse. And then ZRL came in the fall and we sort of kicked into gear and won our division and got into Premier League. And it was great because it synced up with the Road to World Championships. And so I got to race with some guys that really knew their Zwift. I credit that. I don't think I'd be doing this show without the team because it's hard to figure this stuff out. It's hard to even figure out which races to do. I get that question all the time from my clients. Is like, which races are good races? And without a team, unfortunately, that's not clear. It's not obvious looking at the Zwift schedule. With a team, you can figure that stuff out and pass the knowledge along. So it's great. It's the best way to get involved with Zwift, I would say, at all levels. It's great.
And it's where we met.
It's where we met.
There we go. That's our engagement story. That's where we met. And Anna, how about you? What was your ARC life? Were you on teams before Saris? And
no. So I'm from a triathlon background. We don't really have teams per se. But I started Zwifting when I was pregnant and just joined a whole bunch of group rides. Then wanted to race, so just raced randomly, and then got a sort of someone messaged me, I think, about Team Fearless, which was awesome. Just a bunch of women. They had a really cool kit, so that was epic. And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll just jump in with them. And it was just the camaraderie, like the chit chat around Facebook and all of that just made Zwift kind of took it to the next level, like just an awesome community and a great group. From there, we created a prem team called Team Infinite, which I got asked to be a part of. So we raced, I think only one race under that name before the Saris guys called us up because Saris wanted to sponsor a women's team as well. So yeah, Team Infinite very, very quickly became Saris the Pros Closet and raced for them for a year, obviously before getting pregnant, and now DS for them. But actually now I race for Team Fearless again. So I got in touch with them and said, I'm not racing Prem for, probably like a year. Can I come back and join in with you guys? And that's who I've been racing with in the BCAT. And we also do the Zwift Running League and the Zwift Duathlon League for Team Fearless. So yeah, wicked. And I also created a team of A group riders called Riot, but that's just more of a fun. A few of us, unfortunately, from Saris couldn't race the Prem times. I think it was like 4 a.m. for me. Before some of our time zones changed. And yeah, like,
Get going.
yeah, oh man, I could do it without kids maybe, but geez, like I can't get off there and be a full mom. So that was too late for us. So yeah, we've got an A group race team that I don't race on anymore, but they're going strong. They're always winning the community division. So it's pretty wicked.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't on a team for a long time. I kind of serendipitously, I had been asking to join Finesse for a long time. I kept bugging Johnny Rocket about it. And then I ended up hooking up with one of the guys on Draft, one of the oldest teams on Zwift. And I got on their B team. At the same time, I got on the Finesse team, which was super cool. And I mean, I can't say enough about how fun it is being on these teams and being able to talk to people who are doing the same thing as you. I mean, we set up races where we go, like on Saturdays where we go attack the field and we send 2 guys off and send 2, and then, like it was super cool. Like before, I'm not on Finesse anymore. You guys kind of focus on the Premier League now, which is awesome. But like Alex, the team lead there, he jumped in and DS'd like a random Saturday morning race, which was so cool. It's so fun. Like these really, really high level racers are like, hey, B guys, like it just made, I feel like it takes that Zwift experience up so many levels to have the people to talk to, I mean, you joke around, you come up with inside jokes, you have, fun GIFs you're sending each other, all that stuff. And so, like I definitely encourage anybody to join a team.
Oh, for sure. My dad just got on Zwift. He's 70. And I said, immediately go join Herd because Herd is like really wicked when you're first getting into it. And, now he's on the Facebook page. And yeah, it just makes it a lot more enjoyable. Otherwise, you can't, I don't know, if you're not on a team, I don't know, you can do workouts and things, but in racing and group rides, you want some teammates around. And yeah, chatting on Discord has been amazing as well. Like, that's probably the funnest part about racing for me. I know in that Echelon League, I did that as well last year when it was on Zwift, Jordan, and they were long races, so it was cool. There was a lot of downtime after the attacks. Man, we just chatted the whole time. It was awesome.
Yeah. No, the teams make it. We give a lot of credit to WRTL and ZRL and all that to making this community racing. But it's the teams. It's been organic from the ground up. And we've talked to Fearless, we've talked to Dirt, we've talked to some of these teams, and it's just the origin stories is very impressive, and you can get involved for free. It's great. Like,
yeah, it's highly suggest trying to join a team. Make sure it aligns to kind of what you want to do. That's why I wanted to be on Finesse. It's because they were very race oriented, and that was kind of me. Same with Draft. But yeah, I mean, and Jordan. How could I resist Jordan Shane with a face like that? So yeah, I think that's probably it. I know we have kind of a hard cutoff at an hour today because Anna's been basically doing Zwift for 24 hours in a row.
impressive.
But yeah, Anna,
with my heart rate staying below 60 beats a minute. So Zwifting with low heart rate. There we go. That's
60 beats a minute. You can't go over 60.
No, no, I'm just meaning I'm not actually racing, so I'm
Oh
just like
yeah. Oh,
chilling
I was
out,
like, I don't know how you do
Zwifting
that.
behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know. I got a DS for my team today too. It was wonderful. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so Jordan, thanks as always for being on. Super fun talking to you. Anna, we really appreciate you coming on the show. It's super fun. I'm definitely gonna beg you to come back at some point for sure. So
Thanks. It was awesome. I love this. You guys are great guys to talk to and good, sort of different and interesting perspectives. It's you don't always hear other perspectives so much. So it's been nice to sort of hear yours and take a different look on some of the things I'd had different ideas on.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, hit her up. Anna Russell on YouTube, Anna Zwift Racer on Instagram. You see it down there. And yeah, we're at No Breakaways on Instagram. I got to up my game because I just am not a social person. But yeah, thank you both so much. And we will talk to you again later.
Thanks.